Uh, First of all, I would like to say good evening to all audience from USA, and good morning for our audience from India. Today, I would like to give a lecture on Noble Eightfold Path or Ariya Atangika Makha, which is the very important teaching of Buddha. As usual, I try to give my lecture in a clear-cut and easy to understand manners. So, this is my agenda for today's presentations, starting from what is Noble Eightfold Path, and then three groups of practice in Noble Eightfold Path, followed by 8 individual steps of Noble Eightfold Path, 2 types of Ariya Makha, namely Lokiya and Lokuttara Ariya Makha, then 2 extra steps of Noble Eightfold Path, and I will end my lecture with lay persons and Noble Eightfold Path. So let's start. Noble Eightfold Path or Ariya Atangika Makha is a path consisting of 8 practical steps, which Buddha assigned for noble persons or Ariya Bukkala. It is an ancient spiritual path which had been followed and practiced by every Buddha, including the present one, and then transferred or conveyed to disciples. The purpose of this path is to remove sufferings, leading to stable and profound peacefulness, moral excellence, wisdom, and happiness. And finally, to attain enlightenment and nibbana. I would like to emphasize that all steps are important and interdependent. Noble Eightfold Path can be called middle path. Why? Because there are 2 extremes of practice. The first one is devotion to sensual pleasure and luxurious living. For example, in the case of royal families. The second one is devotion to self-mortification or self-punishment. For example, fasting, self-tortures. None of these extremes lead to ending of suffering and attaining enlightenment. Only avoidance of both extremes or adoption of middle path will lead to true knowledge, insight, visions, tranquilities, enlightenment, and then nibbana. Noble Eightfold Path divided into 3 groups of practice, namely wisdom or panya, morality or sila, and concentration or samadhi. All these 3 groups divided into 8 sequential steps of practice, starting from first, right view or samma ditthi. Second, right intentions or samma sankappa. Third, right speech or samma vaca. Fourth, right action or samma kammanta. Fifth, right livelihood or samma achiva. Sixth, right effort or samma vayama. 7, right mindfulness or samma sati. And last but not least, number 8, right concentration or samma samadhi. Actually, step 1 to 7 are supportive and crucial condition for step 8. At certain state of progress, it can be present simultaneously, each supporting others. Some may be more prominent at one time or another. As I have told earlier that they are important and interdependent. The first group of practice is wisdom or panya, which is realizing and analyzing true nature of realities by seeing things as they really are, not as they appear to be, or not as one wants them to be. Wisdom is gained through personal experiences and insight as a result of direct practice. It is not obtained through conceptual knowledge, intelligence, reading textbook, or even education. Panya consists of right view and right intentions, both of which are essential factors in the practice of Noble Eightfold Path. Wisdom plays initial role at beginning of practice. And however, at advanced step of practice, when instinctive insight of ultimate reality arises, it becomes superior or perfect wisdom. So wisdom has two types, the ordinary ones and the superior or perfect wisdom. The second group is morality or sila, which is ethical conduct or moral discipline, consisting of right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Sila is used primarily to facilitate mental purification by keeping a clean mind and avoid negative feelings such as greed, hate, and delusion. These obstruct progress to perfection. So, abstaining from unwholesome actions of speech and body enhance unification of mind in concentration. The third group is concentration or samadhi, which is mental discipline, consists of right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentrations. Samadhi is achieved through training in higher consciousness, which bring about calmness and mindfulness needed to develop through insights by direct experience. In addition, samadhi is required as a support for creation of superior or perfect wisdom, as I have mentioned earlier. This crucial practice developed from moral restraint or control into direct mental training. Then I would like to explain in detail about each step in Noble Eightfold Path, starting from step 1, which is right view or samadhi. It is a correct way of looking at life, nature, and the world as they really are, not as they appear or as we believe. For example, how truth or reality works, reason for human existence, sufferings, sickness, aging, death, existence of greed, hate, and delusions. These are important right views. Samadhi has preliminary and essential role before one can advance on Noble Eightfold Path. Right view begin with concept and knowledge, which are available around us. But through practice, it gradually transforms into wisdom, which then eradicate limitation of mind. Buddha mentioned understanding of the following reality in Samma Ditti. The first one is Four Noble Truths, including suffering, dukkha, cause of suffering, samudaya, cessation of sufferings, nirodha, and path leading to cessation of suffering, magga. The second one is law of karma, which is a moral process of the world. Every kind of wholesome or unwholesome karma, no matter what is done by body, speech, or mind, we have its results or vipaka. The third one is three characteristics of existence or trilakkhana, including impermanence, anicca, sufferings, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. The fourth one is dependent origination or paticca samuppada, samsaric existence, which is ruled by a system of cause-effect relationships. These are main understanding which suggested by Buddha. Step 2 of Noble Eightfold Path is right intention or Samma Sankappa. This is cultivation of skillful or proficient way of thoughts, purpose, plan, or wish towards positive and wholesome direction, including the motivation of oneself to eliminate immoral quality and attach to moral qualities, abandonment of worldly things or sensual pleasures, and commitment to practice of spiritual path. Buddha mentions three kinds of right intentions in his teaching. The first one is intention of renunciation or nekkhamma, the complete eradication of craving and attachment, which are cause of sufferings. This is opposite to intention of desire. The second one is intention of goodwill or metta, intense feeling of selfless love for other beings and heartfelt concern for their well-being and happiness. This is opposite to intention of ill will. The third one is intention of harmlessness or karuna, wishing that all living beings be free from suffering. This is opposite to intention of harmfulness. There are three major kinds of right intention in Buddha teachings. The third step of Noble Eightfold Path is right speech or Samma Vaca, which is correct use of verbal expression. You must bring out honest and faithful thoughts into words. And there are four types of Samma Vaca. Firstly, avoid false or dishonest speech. Musavata. You must speak truth, reliable information, worthy of confidence, not cheating people. This includes what we call white lies. which is telling lies in order to be nice or to spare someone's feelings. For example, a medical doctor tells patient with cancer that he will live or survive for many years, in spite that he is going to die in a few days. This is called white lies. The second one is avoid gossiping or wrongly criticizing speech, so-called Pitsunawas. Do not spread what you have heard from here to there or from there to here, so as to cause conflicts or hate between a group of peoples. You must deliver speech that promote friendship and harmonies. The third one is avoid rude or insulting speech, so-called Parusawat. You must speak words that are gentle, soothing to ear, loving, go to heart, cautious, friendly, and agreeable to many. The fourth one is avoid useless or meaningless speech, so-called Sampapparapa. You must speak at right times, supporting by reasons or evidence in accordance with fact. You must speak what is useful, for example, Dhamma and discipline. So these are 4 types of Samma Vaja. Step 4 of Noble Eightfold Path is right actions, Samma Kammanta, which is moral, honorable, and peaceful conduct. Do not act in a way that would be unethical or harmful to oneself or to others. These include respect for life. You must avoid killing living beings. Respect for other possessions. You must avoid taking what is not given. Respect for personal relationship. You must avoid sexual misconduct and unsuitable sensual pleasures. You must avoid false speech, abandon preference in craving, attachment, and intoxication. You must purify your mind and body, carry out charity, service, and kindness. These are good examples of right action. Step 5 is right livelihood or Samma Achiva. One should acquire wealth or make a living only by legal trades or occupation, which are peacefully, honestly, and in a way that do not bring harm and suffering to other living beings. In addition, motivation for work should not be to make more money than one needs or to make money for enjoyment of luxuries. Therefore, Samma Achiva can be a vehicle for development of compassion and loving kindness for others. According to Buddha's teachings, faithful Buddhists should avoid the following occupation. The first one is business in weapons, including trading weapons and instruments for hurting or killing humans or animals. Second one is business in human beings. For example, slave trading, prostitution, buying or selling children or adults. The third one is business in meat. For example, butchers, meat processing, breeding animal for slaughter. The fourth one is business in intoxicant, manufacturing or selling intoxicating drinks or addictive drugs. For example, amphetamine or cocaine. The fifth one is business in poison, including producing or trading toxic products designed to kill. The last one is business in fortune tellings, making prediction of fixed futures, which is contrary to law of karma. These occupations should be avoided by faithful Buddhists if possible. Step 6 is right effort or Samma Vayama. It's persistent attempt or diligence to maintain skillful thoughts, words, and action without thinking or complaining about difficulty or exhaustion involved. There are 4 types of Samma Vayama according to Buddha teaching. The first one is preventing unwholesome quality, in particular, greed, hate, and delusion from arising. The second one is eliminating unwholesome quality that have already arisen. Thirdly, cultivating or initiating wholesome quality, especially generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom that have not yet arisen. The fourth one is maintaining or strengthening wholesome quality that have already arisen. These are Buddha teachings. Step 7 is right mindfulness or Samma Sati. It is constantly keeping one's mind attentive or aware to instant phenomena which affect body and mind. The purpose of this step is to develop intellectual awareness in order to make spiritual progress. Sorry, I have to drink some water. In this case, mind remain in the present, open, quiet, careful, and alert state. Notify only what is happening within us and around us in the present moment. In addition, all judgment and interpretation have to be suspended during this step. Or if already occur, just register it and drop it. By the way, laziness and inactivity lead to mental weakness and clumsiness, which interfere development of samadhi. So these property or these characteristics are major obstacle to samadhi. Buddha mentions 4 entities that should be attentive or aware in samadhi, including sensation of physical body, emotional changes or feelings, mental state or thoughts arising in the mind, and immediate environmental stimuli, which full attention of all these entities one gradually apprehend or recognize 7 factors of awakening, so-called Satta Pochanka, which are mental quality or capacity for development of insight and wisdom, which lead to enlightenment. Then come the final step, 8, which is right concentration or Samma Samadhi. Right concentration or meditation is constantly keeping mind focused on single object, maybe sensory or mental object, until reaching full concentration and complete state of meditative absorption, jhana or jhana. During this practice, stress-free posture, steady and easy breathing are recommended, while mind try to focus on calmness. For example, some Buddhists practice meditation through mindfulness of breathing, anapana, through visual objects, kasina, and through verbal repetition of phrases, parikama. Therefore, Samma Samadhi is used to suppress 5 hindrances or obstacles, so-called Pancha Nivarana, which are mental factors that obstruct progress in meditation. They inhibit entering into jhana. Upon development of Samma Samadhi, one's mind gradually becomes calm, purified of distraction, and realizing pure Dhamma. Once individuals achieve very deep and powerful Samadhi, one's mind will penetrate into what we call ultimate nature of reality, and eventually release from all sufferings. In fact, Samma Samadhi is a final demanding step in Noble Eightfold Path. It is impossible to achieve the prior or previous seven crucial steps still be lacking or inadequate. So please don't hurry. Please practice sequentially, step by step, from 1 to 8. In fact, there are 2 types of Ariya Magga or Noble Path, which are the first one, Lokiya or mundane Ariya Magga, so-called Noble Eightfold Path, which is ordinary and lead to merit, kusala, less sufferings, and favorable rebirth in samsara. This Ariya Magga is practiced by Seka Ukala, which is a learner or a trainee who is training in Noble Eightfold Path, including Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, who may be monastic or lay persons. The second one is Lokuttara, supramundane Ariya Magga, so-called Noble Tenfold Path, which is extraordinary and lead to self-awakening and liberation from samsara. This Ariya Magga is practiced by Aseka Ukala, who is non-learners or an expert who is perfect in training. In general, it often means Arahanta. Therefore, the successful practice of Noble Eightfold Path in Aseka Bukkala give rise to two extra steps, so-called right knowledge or Samma Jhana, and right liberation, so-called Samma Vimutti. These two steps are considered under the same category of wisdom. The first extra step is Samma Jhana, or we can call it step 9, which leads to superior or perfect wisdom. In this step, spontaneous and insightful understanding of ultimate truth or Paramattha Satya suddenly arises by mental perception through jhana instead of intellectual ability. In this case, ultimate truth or Paramattha Satya is more authentic with great details than what we call conventional truth or Samadhi Satya. The next extra step is Samma Vimutti, or we can call it step 10. In this step, self-awakenings or enlightenment naturally occur, and individuals have reached the peak of their practice, which lead to release from suffering and samsara, and then actually nibbana. These two extra steps are end result of efficient practice of Noble Eightfold Path in Aseka Bukkala, which arise spontaneously through constant and exhaustive practice of Samma Samadhi. Here is a summary of Lokiya in comparison with Lokuttara Arya Magga. On the left-hand side is the Eightfold or Noble Eightfold Path, which is practiced by Seka Bukkala and lead to reduction of suffering and then favorable rebirth in samsara. On the right-hand side is Noble Tenfold Path, which is practiced by Aseka Bukkala and lead to self-awakening or enlightenment and liberation from samsara and then nibbana. So all of these practice are done by what we call Arya Bukkala or noble person. Then come the important question. Can lay persons practice Noble Eightfold Path? And I will tell you the answer. As you have seen that monastic and lay person can be Arya Bukkala. In Buddha times, there were several lay persons, including men and women, who were Arya Bukkala. According to many Buddhist texts and documents, there were around 3,000 Sotapanna, not less than 90 Sakadagami, not less than 500 Anagami, and a few Arahant. At present, lay person may be competent to practice Noble Eightfold Path only if they are Tihetuka Bukkala and cultivate preliminary quality for spiritual development to Sotapanna. And when accomplished, one is on the way to path of stream entry or Sotapati Makha. In this case, the Hetuka Bukkara is a person who is born with all three wholesome roots, including Alopa, Atosa, and Amoha. He or she is wise and knowledgeable, had heard and is familiar with Buddha teaching. And the next question is, what is preliminary quality for spiritual development to Sotapanna, so-called Sotapati Angka? These are association with spiritual friends or Kalyanamitta. Friends who are faithful and helpful in studying Dhamma. The second is listening to genuine. Let me drink some water. The second is listening to genuine Dhamma teaching, which delivered by qualified persons. In the Buddha time, these include the Buddha himself and his disciples. The third one is wise attention, which is skillful and wholesome consideration of everything in accordance with truth. The fourth one is practicing Dhamma in accordance with Buddha teaching. However, due to chaotic situation in the modern world, it is more practical for lay person to study and follow Buddha teaching and be aware of Noble Eightfold Path as a moral guideline for everyday conducts. And this my last recommendation in my lecture. Finally, I would like to thank you, all of you, for your attentions. Sadhu, 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 anumodhami.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
My picture.
Much merits to you, Reverend Sir. Thank you very much. We will open up the forum for question and answer now. So you can, I'll allow you to, you just raise your hand and I'll allow you a chance to unmute yourself. Now, first question comes from Naksen Wankhede. Naksen, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, Master, for making aware about the Buddha's teaching or the mantra of Noble Eightfold Path. For a lay person, it is very difficult in day-to-day life to follow or implement the this Eightfold Noble Path. On the top of that, you also spoken about Hetuka Puggala, right? It's a stage before Sotapanna, or like how to cultivate in order to just to get the preliminary actions towards Hetuka Puggala. And what should be the motivation or the driving factor for anyone to cultivate this Hetuka Puggala? I hope the question is clear.
Oh. So that is very good and interesting questions. I would like to share my knowledge that person or Bukkala may be classified by their rebirth consciousness or patisonti citta into 4 types of what we call Putuchana, Pukala, or ordinary peoples. The first one is Tukati, Ahetuka, Pukala. This is individual born in sorrowful state of existence or abaya pum, containing animals, hungry ghosts, demon, and hell being. This individual cannot practice Noble Eightfold Path at all. Sorry. The next one is Sukati Ahetuka Pukala. Individuals who have very weak kusala and born with defect in human worlds. If they are human beings, they may be born as a blind, a dumb, deaf, or idiotic persons. Some are born sexless or bisexuals. This group of Pukala cannot practice Noble Eightfold Path as well. The third one is Towi Hetuka Pukala. Is individuals who born with only 2 wholesome roots, a lopa and a tosa. These individuals cannot practice Noble Eightfold Path as well. And the last one is Tihetuka Pukala, who are human beings that born with 3 wholesome roots. These individuals are intelligent and judicious, so they can practice Noble Eightfold Path if they cultivate the preliminary quality for spiritual development. And I have told you earlier, sorry. So you cannot change your quality of person in the present life, because they are classified according to rebirth consciousness. So you have to die and rebirth again in order to change your type of Pukala. So if you do a lot of merit and kusala, in this life, next life you may reborn as Tihetuka Pukala and starting to practice Noble Eightfold Path if you have sufficient quality for that. So this question maybe may have a very long answer. Sorry for that.
Thank you very much, sir. And on this Tihetuka person, also if a person has Bodhisattva vows, then also he may not be able to get to the Aryahood in this life because he's following maybe a Bodhisattva vow. Is that true, sir?
Sorry, I cannot catch your question.
So even if a person is a Tihetuka person,
yes.
If he has a Bodhisattva vows, he may not be able to reach to Arya stage because of that.
He has what?
If he has a Bodhisattva vows.
Bodhisattva.
Yes.
Bodhisattva. So this is a different story. So Bodhisattva is a person who has already practiced Noble Eightfold Path, because Bodhisattva is noble person, and he has maybe practiced this Noble Eightfold Path for many lives, And in the present life, he doesn't want to be enlightened or be a Buddha. So he teach many people and help many people to remove sufferings. But he himself had complete Noble Eightfold Path.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other questions on the call, please raise your hand and we will allow you to unmute and ask your question. Okay, I see Naksen again, you have maybe a follow-up. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, thanks, Pankaj, for asking a follow-up. Thank you, Master, for the clarification. So one has to take a rebirth in order to achieve the another stage to follow the Noble Eight Path.
Yes.
So what is the end for this?
What is what? What is the
end for this? How many lives one has to take?
It's very hard to answer this question precisely. It may take you several lives in order to become the Hetuka Pukala and practice Noble Eightfold Path. It depends on what Pukala you are. If you are now Sukati Ahetuka Pukala, you may need several lifetimes. And if you are Tuvi Hetuka Pukala, you may need less lifetime than the former ones. So it depends on your Pukala in the present life and depend on your wholesome Dhamma and Kusala that you perform in the present life.
Prafulla, please go ahead and ask your question. You are next in line.
Yes. Thank you everyone for conducting this very important webinar. A very nice topic you have choose. I also thankful to the host. It's a very important discussion and all the things. My question is related. There is a teachings of Buddha from Samyukta Nikaya. In Samyukta Nikaya, Buddha said that there is some suttas related to emptiness and supramundane that should be recited so that we can develop our spiritual path. So my question is, which are that supramundane suttas and the emptiness suttas so that we can recite and develop our path? Thank you.
Sorry, I cannot catch your questions.
I will. May I repeat?
Yes, please repeat.
I will directly read the text from the Samyukta Nikaya.
Yeah.
Yes. This is like this. You should train yourself thus when those discourses spoken by the Tathagata that are deep in meaning, supramundane, dealing with emptiness, are being recited. We will be eager to listen to them, will lend an ear to them, will apply our minds to understand them, and we will think those teachings should be studied and mastered. Thus should you train yourself. From the Buddha, Samyutta Nikaya. This is the text. So please guide us, which are that suttas that are related to emptiness and supramundane.
To be honest, I haven't reached those sutta in details. And I think that in all sutta that Buddha mentions or introduce, there are a very genuine and sophisticated theories and practice. If you fully understand those sutta, it's very, very, very faithful. However, it may take a lot of triumphs or patience or background knowledge to be understandable of those sutta. So your question is just like a comment, not a real question, right?
If I may add something to this, Prafulla, the text that you may be reading, it may not be from Samyutta Nikaya itself. The Nikaya itself talks about, so this is part of the Sutta Pitaka, and one of the Nikaya in Sutta Pitaka is Samyutta Nikaya, and had multiple suttas in there. So a particular sutta just talking about any one of this maybe needed to be searched, or we could check with Bhante or somebody. But the text that you read didn't sound like it is coming from the Tipitaka itself.
I learned from mainly Sutta Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka. And in addition to that, I learned from English Tipitaka.
Yes, Surachai. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So I do not depend on the sutta that you have mentioned. I depends on mostly Abhidhamma Pitaka, Sutta Pitaka, both in English and in Thai.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Prafulla, for asking that question. Any other question? Please go ahead and raise your hand or put it in chat window. Okay, I do not see any more hands, raised hand in the meeting. And I do not see any question in the chat either. So I would like to take the session towards concluding. Surachai, sir.
Excuse me, let me answer the question from previous week.
Yes, sir.
Possible? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, we absolutely can. Yes.
Yeah. According to the question raised in past week lecture, which I have postponed my answer until now. The first one, which I can remember, is how Vinyan become nama rupa in paticca samuppada? Let me answer like this. Life is coexistence of mind and matter, nama and rupa. And patisanti citta is the leader of this coexistence. In this case, mind is cetasika associated with patisanti citta, and matter is materials produced by karma potentials. In the case of human being, which is womb-born beings, mind consists of one citta and 33 cetasika, and matters contain 3 rupa kalapas, including sex kalapa, body kalapa, and heart-based kalapa, which can be called hatya vatu, the physical base of citta and mind. This is matter, not nama. Nama. It is rupa, not nama. And rupa kalapa is invincible, the smallest unit of matters, composed a minimum of 8 inseparable materials, including Prithvi, earth, apo, waters, tejo, fire, vayu, air, Vanna, colors, Kantha, smell, rasa, taste, and ocha, nutrition. This is how Vinyan become nama rupa. The main cause, the main contributor is patisanti citta, and the corresponding material produced by karma potentials. And the next question is, what is the difference between the prenatal development in science and in Buddhism? In modern science, prenatal development is divided into 3 major phases. Zygote, the fertilization to implantation to wall of uterus, starting from first day to 7 weeks of pregnancy. The second one is embryo, from the 3rd to 8th week. In this phase, all major organs are formed and heart begin to beat. Third, fetus, starting from 9 weeks until birth. In this phase, all major organ systems begin to function, and developing fetus grow rapidly, as you can see from the picture on the right-hand side. Zygote, embryo, and fetus. By the way, prenatal development in Buddhism is similar to what we have known earlier. It's comprised of many phases as follows. The first one is kalala, or suitable choice, during the first week. This had a size and color to a drop of oil placed on tip of a thread made from 3 strands of wools, according to Buddha teaching. It is very small. The second one is abuddha, yeah, with its swellings. During the second week, this is a cellular mass with color of meat-watching waters. Thirdly, pesi, or lump of flesh, during the 3rd week of pregnancy. It is like pink molten metals. Fourthly, khana, or hard mass, during the 4th week. In this phase, skin and flesh start to solidify and rudiments of limb emerge, like 5 pimples appearing on chicken eggs, These include 2 hands, 2 legs, and a head. The fifth phase is Pasaka during 5th week. In this phase, major and minor limbs arise. And thereafter, hair of head arise, then hair of body and nails arise. Nourished with food and drinks consumed by mother. And within 9 to 10 months, being is born in human world. You can see that both type of prenatal development is similar. But according to my opinions, in the times of Buddha era, there is no microscope. But Buddha can mention in details many stages of prenatal development, which is more details or delicate than what we know from the modern science. So thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Sir, I see one more hand. Do you have time to take one more question, sir?
Yes, okay, please.
Actually, a couple of hands. So Rima Tai, please go ahead with your question. Please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Namo Buddhaya, Master Ji. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So in step 5 today, Master Ji told about right livelihood, wherein he told about few occupations which people should avoid. So there are people who can scan the aura and can tell about what kind of work should one person do to avoid any illnesses. So is it good for, in Buddhism?
So please repeat your question, please.
Yeah, there are few people who practice Reiki kind of therapies who can scan the aura and they can tell what kind of work should a person do. I mean, if the person is thinking a lot, so that Reiki therapist advises that person not to think a lot. It may cause you few illnesses like problem in your eyes, problem in your ears. So is it good occupation in Buddhism?
What occupation that you mentioned?
So,
Reiki.
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 So
It is called Reiki.
Waking?
Reiki.
It is basically a Japanese technique only of healing.
Oh, I see. And the question is that good for Buddhists?
Yes, because you mentioned that fortune telling isn't good. So this is kind of fortune telling as well, right?
Actually, I do not know in detail about that occupations. But if that occupation dealing with fortune tellings, whether it has a good predictions or a bad predictions, or whether they can improve the physical health. It's also a fortune tellings. In that case, I think, according to Buddha teaching, the faithful Buddhists should avoid that if possible. There may be good in social meaning, but it is to be avoided in Buddha teaching.
Okay, but that is helping others, right? that is helping others to work on themselves.
Oh, yes, that help people who depend on themselves. But if that person does not tell the truth, maybe
Right.
just the kind of white lines that should be
Right.
avoided.
Right.
You know, white lie is, yeah. The white lie is something good, but it is contrary to Buddha teaching.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And your next question come from Piyush. Piyush, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Hello. Good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning, Surachai Unchern.
Thank you.
I joined in late, but I did grasp some of the things. So my question is related to the slide about mind and matter. So it'll be great if you're able to pull out that slide about mind and matter.
This one?
Yes, please. Yes. So my question is that in matter you have sex kalapa, body kalapa, and heart kalapa.
Yes.
And then we have mind. So my question is, where would we place brain, the part of physical body, brain? Should we place that in mind, or should we place that in matter?
Hatya Watu is classified as matter, not mind.
Yes. How would we classify brain? Should we classify it as mind or matter? And I have a second related question. So does mind also transgress matter, which is sex, body, and heart? Is mind also involved in these three things as well? So these are the two questions that I have. Thank you.
The heart-based kalapa is a physical entity that is the base for citta and mind. It is not mind by itself. It contains many constituents that are physical form. For example, your heart. It's not an mind in that sense, but it gives rise to minds and citta. Is that all right? Or you have additional explanation for that? Please tell me.
Piyush, do you have anything to say to that? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Surachai.
Okay, that's all right. You're welcome.
Yeah. I don't see any other questions or raised hand. So I would like to take the session towards concluding. Surachai, do I have your permission, sir?
Yes, that's okay, please.
Yeah, we will thank you very much once again, sir. Much merit to you for sharing your Dhamma knowledge with us and sharing the Dhamma talk. We will do sharing of merits with all people, all beings with this gathas. Etavata cha ammehi sambadang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya Ettavata cha ammehi sambadang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cha ammehi sambadang punya sampadang sabbe sattha anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much once again, sir. We are very grateful to you for your time and your Dhammadana today. With your permission, we will close today's session, sir.
So thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir. Namo Buddhaya.